Okay, I think we're good to go.
All right.
Yep.
So this is Niebuhr's Irony of American History. So my one sentence summary isn't one sentence, it's two sentences. But essentially, he's arguing that we can't be pure idealists and forego power and interest or we can't get rid of interest. So we can't do what the Wilsonians say and remove interest entirely from political action. We have to be willing to acknowledge that morally dangerous choices are required from time to time. And if we're naive about that, or we hide uh, our decisions behind like a moralistic veneer, we risk doing evil in the name of good. So paradigm, he's a Christian realist, so he's got flavors of the just war tradition and Augustinian thought. In Walter Russell Mead's typology, I think that he can be closest to a Jeffersonian in as much as he's pro-democracy at home, non-interventionist, and concerned about democracy being at home, or democracy at home being corrupted by foreign ventures. Again, it's not a clean fit, but I think that's where he best fits. His thesis, the creation of nukes is a tragedy. And this is so because in the fight for communism, or the fight, what am I? Okay, I must have been brain dead when I wrote this. The fight against communism, we're not communists. The fight against communism, America risks losing its soul because of what he calls the physical and social substance of culture may be lost because of the imperial hegemony required to police the nuclear world. So this is kind of getting at where he's getting the irony of American history from. So America has an idealistic founding myth and other supporting stories, such as Manifest Destiny, that give its world order an air of virtue. But this is undermined by the threat of nukes lurking in the background. So we're extending a hand to the world to uplift it, but at the same time, we have the capability to destroy the world many times over, which he says undermines, and that gives the American world order this ironic quality. So he says that we cannot think of ourselves as special or immune to history. And the way that he puts that in particular is he says that America cannot be a new Israel. So he's very much against the, city on a hill sort of argument. So broad question, he's trying to get at the tension between exercising power and looking out for one's own interest. So that's the American world order. He's trying to he's trying to see the tension between those two things and the pursuit of justice. So give a more in-depth summary. He seems to argue that America is naive when its Puritan and Jeffersonian ideals come into contact with the post-war reality. So we're talking about Korea, and at the time, debating during the Korean War of a preemption against the Chinese communists and even the USSR, and then our intervention in Vietnam are examples that come up. So he thinks that Jeffersonianism believes that it has escaped from history. So that is the European tradition of great power politics, but that he thinks that the Cold War disproves this escape. So this seems to be his chief worry, that America will essentially advance its own ideals, but do evil or commit evil deeds in the pursuit of those ideals because it fails to see that it is not immune to history. So he roots this conviction in four truths, and these are: first, the persistent sin of American exceptionalism; two, the indecipherability of history; three, the false allure of simple solutions; and four, the need to acknowledge and appreciate the limits of power. So against these truths lies America's spiritual pride, which argues that America stands apart, that it can be separate from the old world. It can have like a rupture, form a new tradition. Niebuhr responds to this by arguing that we're not special, and as the world's predominant superpower, events will bear this out. Because he's writing 1953, I think. So he's not he's making a lot of predictions here. Um, he seems anti-Wilsonian. Like I said before, he's very much against combining the Christian religious tenets with a practical political vision and sort of a missionary style way of sending or exporting democracy. He seems to think this is exceedingly dangerous and borders on idolizing the state in a manner which would make us like less vicious Nazis, is the way he puts it. Um, he says instead of trying to predict history, we need modesty and humility. So he's not quite arguing for isolation, but he's definitely not an interventionist. So that's where I'm getting at with putting him in the Jeffersonian camp of Walter Russell Mead. So he's arguing for a less interventionist foreign policy. And then rather than that, we should engage in encourage a stable world order. But how that comes about is not really clear. So I'm not super confident in this one. I understand that it's a little confusing to talk about how he is using the word Jeffersonian. He means it in more of a optimistic view of human nature and of American exceptionalism, and he kind of blends like Jeffersonian ideals with America's Puritan tradition. And where I'm putting him in the Jeffersonian camp, I'm thinking more in the Jeffersonian as Walter Russell Mead's using it in just like that he's a Christian restrainer almost. But we can talk about it and try to flesh it out more if you want.
No, I mean, I think what you said makes sense. I'd maybe say like what I'd imagine his end state is a like one that like if we're a um good nation, people will just be able to like other nations will realize this, and if they
Mm-hmm.
want to, will perhaps kind of do a be peaceful with us, but then also kind of look at and um, even consider adopting a similar way to the way we work. But
Mm-hmm.
would that be wrong?
Yeah. No, I think that's right. So I think he'd be strongly in favor of détente
Yeah.
when that came about. But that's after he's writing, of course. But I definitely think that I mean he's writing very much in the context of like, you know, it's understandable why we got involved in Korea and we're doing it under the auspices of the UN, but let's definitely not talk about a preemptive strike on China or
Yeah.
the USSR. Like he like he's like, okay, bridge too far for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think he's just mainly wary uh, of us being historically ignorant, believing that we're immune from history, and he's worried that if we don't see that we're not immune, we will end up repeating its mistakes. And through good intentions, we will bring the world to atomic annihilation, I think is what he's worried about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't really have any comments on it, so.
Okay. Apparently, it's Obama's favorite.
Oh, really? Interesting.
That's what it says in the book. I
Huh.
think on my edition, it's like, this is my favorite philosopher, Obama, on the back. So, no, yeah, solid. I think he's mainly, he's a theologian and he taught at one of the big name Protestant seminaries.
Okay.
So he's kind of like moonlighting in IR. So,
Mm.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Cool,
Well,
cool.
cool. I think I'll stop streaming, I suppose.
Sounds
Unless you have
good.
anything else